you get yourself all set. You guys get all over set over in XM, and then you have the big merger. Now, where are you now with your career? What's your job title? What's the highest ranking that you got over there?
At XM?
Yeah, with
executive producer.
Okay, so you're the executive producer, which now Travis, right? Travis is the executive producer of the show now, I think. I mean, you know, there's so many producers. I know you got Nagel, and then you got Danny, and then there's Sam. I don't know which one of them actually do anything, but the merger happens. The show seems to be doing well. It's growing still, and I mean, growing as much as I guess it can be, you know, on the XM and the Sirius platform. And then what happens? I mean, because all of a sudden, no one really knew, and I don't think anyone really knows what happened to you.
What happened to me was, and this wasn't the fault of anybody on the staff. This was not Opie's fault. This was not Anthony's fault. This was not Jimmy's fault. The bean counters at XM went through the books and decided that my position was, what's the word? Deemed unnecessary because of the amount of money I made. I had a redundant position, I suppose, is what they ultimately decided. And they one day called me into an office. And if you can imagine that scene from Goodfellas where Joe Pesci walks into the room and he thinks he's about to get made, and he looks and takes one look in the room and he just goes, "Oh, no," and then gets a bullet in the back of the head.
Yeah.
That was basically what I walked into. I walked into a room with one of my bosses and a woman from HR, and I knew right then and there I was being let go. And they said, they told me, this is not based on your job performance. You didn't do anything wrong.
But I have to think though, doesn't Opie and Anthony have any pull? I mean, they can't go in there and say, no, bullshit, this is our man, this is our guy, he runs our website, he's our executive producer, he writes stuff for the show, he's a huge cog in the show. Did they do this, or they just kind of said, sorry, man?
The answer to that question is I don't know. I talked to Opie very briefly, and he said, "Listen, we did all we could." And
do you believe him now? Do you? Okay.
You know what? I've known the guy for so long that I have to believe that they did all they could. They were, and I don't know to this day if they still are, pretty powerless against the big corporate machine that is Sirius.
They say this. They do say this on the show constantly, that they bring it up a lot, that they don't have nearly half the pull that Howard has over there. But
yeah, I mean, I was unceremoniously booted from a job that I had for the better part of 12 years, and I remember, and I didn't leave with any animosity towards anybody other than the company, quite frankly. Because nobody gave me any indication as to why I was let go. They just said, you didn't do anything wrong. Your job performance is fine. We're going to pay you out all your sick days. We're going to pay you out all your severance. You're going to get this, and this. Adios.
How'd you hold it together though? I mean, did you hold it together just to save face, or did you not want to just...
believe me, I wanted to throw the motherfucker out the window.
That's what I'm saying, man. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? I mean, did you even say to him, okay,
the urge to throw the son of a bitch that told me this, and the way I was let go was pretty shitty.
No doubt.
They, followed me into my office. They took my BlackBerry. They watched me clean out my desk. And where's
Opie and Anthony during all this? Where these guys? They're done.
They had already left the building. They knew I was getting let go, and they had already left the building.
I want to believe, because I mean, I listen to these guys and I enjoy them, and I want to believe, that they're good guys, but I mean, it just also in the same breath, man, I don't trust. I want to say you don't trust any of these people, because it's like, and it pisses me off, because it's like, here, I don't know. It's just, I mean, they couldn't offer you less money, something. I mean, it just seems there's more. It's like,
You think there's more to it than that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like a bunch of bullshit to me. It seems like there's all this, I mean, I understand, okay, the money, but I mean, so.
Well, look, I talked
or...
to a bunch of people. I talked to, Patrice, rest in peace. I talked to Rich Voss. I talked to a bunch of people afterwards, immediately. And I said, listen, I just got my ass downsized. And the response from everybody, even Kevin Smith and a bunch of other people, was, "Oh my God, didn't you just have a kid?
Yeah.
Didn't you just commit to all of these financial responsibilities and they let you go?" That's what I thought. That's what really pissed me off.
Yeah.
Was the fact that I had entrenched myself in what I thought was a secure position. And I had made my family plans accordingly, and then just one day out of the blue, boom, shot to the back of the head, let go, with very little explanation other than, sorry, your position is being eliminated.
So now at this point, you no longer handle any of Opie and Anthony's web stuff?
No.
Now, why wouldn't they let you continue on doing that, at least to pay
that
you?
That was my decision.
Oh.
That was my decision not to do it. I stopped doing it about... forgive me for not knowing the chronology. I want to say like a year and a half before I was let go.
Okay.
I stopped doing it. And the reality was it was becoming so expensive to keep doing that. And the content on the website was just growing and growing, but I couldn't monetize it anymore.
Okay.
Anybody that had any illusions as to whether I was making a fortune with that website is absolutely dead wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It was a struggle every month to pay for it because it was costing thousands of dollars to operate that website, and it just wasn't generating that much money at all. That content, when radio listeners generally want stuff for free.
Absolutely.
And
trust me, having a podcast, you have no idea. I hear you. Everyone wants everything for free. So
yeah.
I hear you.
So it was an expensive website to maintain, and I just decided one day I couldn't do it. And they weren't happy with the way I was doing it either. They were pissed off that I was watermarking everything with Foundry Music.
But,
and this is the one point of contention I had was, listen, I'm paying for everything. The second that dynamic changes, then you can tell me how to run it. But as long as I'm running it, I will continue to run this thing the way I want to do it.
Well, let me throw something out there, and tell me if I don't want to come off being out of line, and I don't want to come off sounding like a dick, but I mean, here, let's take your typical fan. Okay, let's take somebody like your typical radio fan who listens to Opie and Anthony. Both these guys make a shitload of money. Am I wrong in saying that?
I don't know how much they make, but they make a substantial amount of money. Yes.
Okay, now, as just some Joe Schmo, I would have to imagine, don't these guys make enough money that they could maintain or pay you to do the website? I mean, here you are, you're doing all of this work. You're doing a nice job. You're doing everything that they're asking you to do. And I mean, as a listener, as a fan, I mean, I can recall countless times they're asking you, Steve, put that up on the website. Steve, make sure this goes up on the web. And it was. And it was always there. It was never fail. Someone, shit on someone in the studio. You had that fucker up that afternoon. It was up, ready to be viewed. And meanwhile, all this stuff that, like you're saying, these guys make a shitload of money. Why can't they pay you to do this? This is what I don't understand.
You and me both.
Okay,
I don't understand that.
Okay.
I don't. To this day, I don't believe they have their own website. So
I don't know. I think they run everything through Facebook. Are they just cheap? Is it that they're just cheap? I mean,
I don't know. I don't. I can't, from personal experience, and I won't go into specifics, but I know that the cheapness factor isn't there because all of them have been very generous to me at different points in my life. So I can't believe. I don't know if it's cheap. I don't know if it's bad judgment. I don't know if it's just the feeling of we don't need a website of our own. We can just do everything through Facebook and YouTube.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially with the Twitter and the Facebook and all that stuff.
Maybe that's it. I don't know why. It's my way of thinking that they should have one.
Sure.
Sort of as a central point where everybody can go and sort of, have a base of operations. But they just choose not to. I know Anthony's got his own, Opie's got his own.
Mm-hmm.
What they do with those things on their own is their own business, and maybe that's the way they like it. Maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe they don't want their own website. Maybe they don't want to do it. It was maybe the fact that I was doing it for so long was just, was just gravy.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, this guy wants to do it. Great. Well, I got sick of paying for it.
Yeah, I know.
And, I got sick of paying for it, and it became too much work and no payoff. I wasn't getting rich off the thing, and I was just like, all right, this is too much for me. I can't do this anymore.
Now, have you had any contact with them personally? I mean, even since the firing. I mean, have you spoken to these guys?
Every once in a while, I went to work with Danny Bonaducci for like 5 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And
no good,
after,
huh?
What's that?
No good.
It wasn't no good. It wasn't no good. I got after I got hired by Danny Bonaducci, and the station flipped formats 5 months after I got there, and and that really sucked.
Yeah.
Because they brought me down there. I was about to move my family down to Philly, and I was living in a motel room. All by myself. My family was still up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and I find out that the station's going to flip formats 5 months after I get there, and that they had been planning this for a year. And I was pissed. I was like,
sure,
you fuckers knew about this for a year, and you still brought me down here. What kind of shit move is that?
It's heartless. It sounds like a fucking heartless business, man. It really does.
Yeah, it is a cold money. There's a great Hunter S. Thompson quote, and I'm going to screw it up, but it's a cold, calculating money trench, and there's also a good side of it too, or there's also a negative side of it too, and I talked to Opie after I lost the Bonaducci gig, and he was just very, very sympathetic. He was just like, I'm so sorry. Those guys are a bunch of assholes. Every once in a while, I'll talk to Kenny. I still talk to Eric. And every once in a while, I'll get a text from one of the guys, saying, what's up? How's it going? That kind of stuff. So, and I made it very clear after I got let go from Opie and Anthony that I would never, ever say anything to badmouth them or disparage them, because they were very cool to me. They
Sure.
gave me my shot.
No, absolutely.
There's no reason to be mad at those guys. I mean, I got my big shot in radio thanks to that Opie and Anthony show, and I, have no reason to be nasty to them or to say anything disparaging, because it's not going to do me any good.
Well, I was just going to say that. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't. You could bash them and badmouth them all you want. It's not going to change anything. And if anything, it just ends up hurting you. I mean,
yeah.
On my end, sure, would I love if you sat here and bashed them and went off? But I mean, yeah, it's like, it's not about that. And so what are you up to now? You're in Scranton. Are you still trying to get into doing something with radio or TV or production or anything?
I'm working.